Okay, so Andrew just gave me my equation. And again, this only works when we're doing one day at a time. He said y equals 0.18x plus 32. We all okay with that?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, now I've got two little questions. It says Elaine rents a car for one day and she drives 83 miles. How much does she pay? Ava, what are you thinking?
So I think she drove 46, or I mean,
Nope, tell me how you set it up. Tell me how you set it up.
okay, so you want to use your equation, obviously, and so since it's the 0.18 is in miles, you plug in 83 for x, and then you get like 14.94 when you do that, and then you add 32, which comes out to like 46.94.
Good. 36 or 46.94?
Yes.
Good. All right. So biggest thing is we plug 18 in for my x because 18 cents per mile. If I'm driving 32 or 83 miles, I'm driving 18 cents times 18 cents 83 times. All right. The second part says Ramon pays $69.80 to rent a car for one day. How far did he drive? What do I do with that $69.80? Ava, finish the problem.
Okay. So you want to put that in for y, and so you subtract 32 from 69.80, and then divide that by 0.18,
And I get
and you just get 0.18. Wait, no, I messed that up. That's almost 7.
so we're minus my 32.
210.
We're dividing our 0.18, and we get 210 miles. So those were just super simple. We set up a little linear equation, a little linear model to represent our car rental. We plugged 83 in for x, we plugged 69.80 in for y, and we could solve accordingly. That wasn't too bad, was it? All right, the very last problem, you need your graphing calculator. Now, I have had students in the past who told me, yes, we did this in Algebra 2, and none of my kids today, though, acted like they knew what I was talking about. So I'm going to act like this is brand new. My calculator is still not working on my iPad, so I'm going to put my phone up on the board, but I want us to write this on your paper before you do this. So basically, this word problem says that we're finding the equation if this is what's given to me. This is my data points. I used to have it on the board, and I guess I erased it. So I'll write it on the board, too. TY. 0, 0, 1, 1.2, 2, 4.8, 3, 10.8, 4, 19.2, and 5, and 30. Okay, so make sure you have that written down. I'm going to flip my screen mirroring over to the calculator. I'm going to go through a process with you on how to put this into the calculator. All right, so again, last class acted like they'd never seen this before, so I'm gonna act like you guys have never seen this before too. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to stat. Stat is the button under delete. So go find stat in your calculator, hit stat, and then the first option is edit. So we hit stat and we hit edit. Stat, edit. And when you do that, you should get something with L1s and L2s. So I think your screen should probably look something like this if you've never used this before. Okay. So again, I pressed stat, and the first option that came up was edit, so I press enter, and I've got an L1 and an L2. I want you to put all of your T's in L1, so I want this to be like your first vertical L1 category, and I want all your Y's to go under your L2 category. Okay. So I'll do it too. Stat is under delete. Did you find it? Anybody need help yet? Where's what stack? That's right here. I'm All right, list your L1s, L2s. I'm still listing mine. Another thing you can do when you think you have them done is make sure that your columns are matched up. So see how I have like my 5 and 30 go next to each other. I've got like blank things that right underneath them. Cool. So just right over it, right 0 and then. I'll have to look and see how to completely clear them out, but right now you can just like right over it. And then now arrow to the next one. Okay, I'm ready for the next step. Are you guys ready for the next step? Okay, I want you to get off this menu. I want you to press second and then mode. That quits you and takes you back to the main screen. So second mode quits you off the screen that you're on. Now I want you to go to Y equals. I want you to make sure that there's nothing in your Y equals. So clear out anything in your Y equals. Just press clear, 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 make it look like mine. And then I want you to scroll up to your plot 1 and press enter. Make sure it's highlighted. So make sure your plot 1 is highlighted, it's turned on. If you want to see if it's turned on, arrow back down to your Y1 and make sure it's still lit up. Now I'm going to put my window just in Zoom standard for right now. If you haven't touched your calculator, it's probably there, but I'm just going to go Z6 Zoom standard to make sure it's good. And this is what I see. Say again. I just went to Zoom. And then Z6 to make sure I'm on my standard. But do you see what I see? I actually did charge it. It was 100% this month. So this is like an 8 or something old. So I think it's just like getting that point, you know, where Apple just like starts like making your device not work. You really want it to have. So I think I'm gonna have to ask for a phone for my birthday. All right, so now I'm gonna expand my window a little bit. What should the highest Y be here? So you get Maggie for calling me out. Oh, that's Megan. Sorry, Megan. Let's make it 30. So let's make our window at least at 30. I may even make it 45 or 35 so I can definitely see in it. So now I can see all my little plots there. Okay. From here, we could probably just like, you know, guess an equation. If I didn't know any different, I maybe would say, okay, well, I know that my equation for a quadratic would be something x squared. That looks like a quadratic, right? Mm-hmm. Do I move any from my x-axis or my y-axis? Do I have a different y-intercept than normal? Do I move up or down any from a normal parabola? No, right? It's at 0, 0. So I wouldn't have anything added on to the end. I could figure out what goes here. However, I'm going to show you a way to make your calculator tell you what the equation is. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit out of here again. So second, quit out of here. And we're going to hit stat again. I want to make my calculator give me an equation for what those points are. I'm going to hit stat, and I'm going to go over to calculate.
So you hit second and then what?
I just hit second mode to get off of my graph.
Okay.
I think so. Oh. That's my dentist.
Oh my god.
I'm just going to let it play out.
I hate
I
that
think
place.
it's really important.
You hate it?
Yeah, I just got too much over here.
Oh, I like
I
them.
mean,
They're mean? Oh, my hygienist is really nice. This is not being recorded. This is going to be on YouTube.
Is this recorded?
I don't know.
Oh my
Every so
god.
often I do a Zoom and I'm like, well, I guess this is just what class is. So,
Why?
all right. So we were at at our graph, and now I want to find the equation for that. So I went out of here and I pressed stat, and then I'm going to go over to calculate. And under calculate, we're going to do one of the regressions. So there's a Lin regression, which means I want the equation of a line. There's a quad regression, which is a quadratic, a cubic one, a quartic one, and then another linear one. So these are all going to give me the equation of a graph. I think the best one here is quad regression. That looked like a parabola on the last one, right? So I'm going to press this quad regression, and my calculator has this populate. All this says is that all my x's are in L1, which is true. I told us to put these all in L1, right? It says all my y's are in L2, which is true. I put them all there. I don't have to fill anything in. I'm just going to press enter. Does anyone's graph not look like this? Did anyone say not look like this? Okay, yep, you have an older one. You just press enter all the way and it should get you the right thing. So I press enter. Yeah, press enter. Yeah, enter. Good, okay. You're good. That's what you want. That's your answer. So you got something that looks like this, right? Now for my B and C, I have numbers. Do you guys have zeros on your B and Cs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, okay. But I would argue that mine is the same number as yours. So a decimal being raised to the negative 14th, that's like something 10 to the negative 14th. That is just a really big number. Yeah, so like 1.2 raised to 10 to the negative 14th. I've got 13 zeros in front of here forever and forever. So it's technically zero. Anything you see something e to the negative, a big number, that basically means zero. So that means my equation here, my a is 1.2. So I'm going to have 1.2x squared. I have a 0 in front of b, so I have no x's. I have a 0 at the end. I have no constants. Technically, my equation is just y equals 1.2x squared. Now, this is like the one on your homework, so we're about to do this again with the one that was on your homework. So if this is confusing to you, we'll go through this process again, okay? But I wanted to go through it on a no problem, and then we'll go back to your homework. So just some notes on what we did. First thing we did is we took our numbers and we went to stat, edit, and we put our x's in L1 and our y's in L2. Okay, so that was the first thing we did. And if you maybe are having a hard time, I'd maybe write this down on your notes so you can kind of keep up with this. Then we turned the stat plot on and we graphed. You might need to mess with the window a little bit. Oh, none of you friends can see that. There we go. Okay. Then to find the equation, then we hit stat calc, and we went to number 5 quad regression. So I would probably write this on my notes where we did this. Sorry, I know I wrote really low. I just can't write any higher. But this was the process of what we did, and we're about to do it again, so maybe it can get in like the little muscle memory of your fingers. So stat edit, we put the x's in L1 and y's in L2. We turned our stat plot on. We graphed, and I wrote window question mark to say maybe you need to mess with your window. And then we pressed stat calc, and we went to quad regression. Quad regression. Okay. Once you have that finished, filled out, all that fun stuff, I want you to go to your homework, and we're going to look at 1.1 homework.
Oh, wait, how do you get to the stat plot? Like, what
Oh,
was
you go to
that?
y equals.
Oh, so that's just the. Oh, wait, this isn't right one then. Okay. Do I have to do a second for that?
You can, if you do second y equals, it tells you to turn your stat plot on. But if you just go to normal y equals, and if you hit, Yeah, so then so that one says off, so I would click enter on that, and then I would turn it on, press enter. Good, and then that turns it on. But if you go to normal y equals, see how it's like all lit up? That means it's on.
Okay.
And you can turn it on and off by just arrowing up, and then, yep, entering on and off there. Yep, you're turning it on and off, on and off, on and off.
Oh. Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna turn off my calculator for a second. I'm gonna put on the notes or the homework answers for the last two. We're gonna do 2 and 3 first, and then we'll go through this process again with the first one. How do you clear it? I think I on this one I just went and wrote on top of all of them, but I think there's a way you can do it. I don't remember with your calculator. So go ahead and check 2 and 3 first, because I believe you can do those easier. Check 2 and 3 first. Those should have been kind of gimmies, and then we'll go back and look at number 1. Okay, if you go up to L1, press clear, and then enter it. So if you go all the way up, press clear, Sophia.
Am I allowed to leave? Yep, 3A in the radical.
Yes, I actually prefer it in the radical form. I bet like last year or 2 years ago they were asking for the decimals, so I just wrote those as well.
Oh, okay.
All right. Any questions? Yeah, Billy. On 3A. That's not right. Okay. So somebody was asking about 3A last class, so I'll talk about it a little bit. Basically, you have to get the x's combined in order to solve for x, and I can't do that when one's under a radical and one is not under a radical. So I moved everything away from the radical x, and then I squared both sides. Don't forget that if you square 1 minus x, it's not 1 squared and negative x squared. It's that whole binomial 1 minus x squared. So you had to FOIL that out. 1 minus x times 1 minus x. Then once I was able to do that, I moved everything to one side. I could not factor it, so I did quadratic formula. No, I completely skipped it for right now. I said I'm going to go back to it. Sorry, I'm a little skippy around, so you just got to roll with the punches. I promise I'll get to everything. That's fine. You got to go all the way through the quadratic. I need to see what x equals. Go through the quadratic formula. But like if you could factor this at that point, you could do complete the square. Just keep going from there. All right. Anything else on 2 or 3? All right. Shall we go do number 1? Okay. The equation I got was this. That's just my directions
Oh, I
options.
got that too.
Nice. If you did not get this, because I didn't tell you how to do it at calculator until today. So if you did it by hand and had some other guess, that's great. What I want us to do is go do this in the calculator now. So if you did not get this answer, I want you to go to your calculator, put your x's L1, put your y's L2, all that fun stuff. Let me write this answer on the board, and then I'll walk through it on my calculator as well. Turn this off. So again, we got to go to stat edit. So stat edit. If you want to clear out, it looks like on this calculator, I go to the L1 or L2 and press delete. On Ava's calculator, like one of the handheld ones, I went up to that and wrote clear enter. So if you are concerned about how to cancel out those L columns, just let me know. However, these are all the same number of numbers, so I should just be able to write it in. 4, 8, 12, 14, 18, 24, 20, 72, 156, 210, 342, 600. Now, before I press graph, I already know I'm not going to see a single thing on my graph right now because my window is normal. What should I make my window be so I can see all these points when I go to my graph? 600, yeah, I might even go a little higher, 700 or 800. What about my x's? How big should my x's be? 50, yeah, at least 30. 30 is probably better. It doesn't matter as long as I can see them. Do I need any negative x's or y's? No. Nope. So I'm gonna go to my window. I'm gonna make all my min 0. I'm gonna make my x min or my x max 30. Make my y min 0 and my y max. I'm gonna go 800 just so I know that I can see those numbers. So again, if I went through that too quick, my x's go from 0 to 30 and my y's are going from 0 to 800. So when I press graph, that's what my window looks like. Cool. Not bad, right? Okay. Does this look like a line? No, does it look like a parabola? Yeah, we're gonna use parabola. It looks kind of like a fat, like a little stretched out parabola, but it's still a parabola. So now I'm gonna keep going down my list. I did my graph. I see it looks like a parabola. Now I'm gonna go to stat, calc, and quad regression again. Stat, calc, quad regression. Go ahead and make sure that you second mode out of there so you're on your main screen when you do that. Stat, calc, quad, reg. Everything looks good. Press enter. I got 1 for A, I got 1 for B, and then my C is again that very, very, very small decimal, which means it's basically 0. So that's where I got my x squared plus x. Cool, right? Fun little calculator trick. Okay, what we're gonna do now, I have like 2 minutes for lunch, so let me give a couple directions. First thing is I want all your homework passed up because I want to grade those. Second thing is we always have quizzes at the end of the week. So you guys are looking at a quiz tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your quiz will not have this on there. Your quiz will not have this on there, okay? Your quiz will be primarily number 2 and 3 on the homework, and then our BFF graphs, which is what we're going to spend the rest of class working on. Okay, everybody stop, listen to me for 1 second. I find myself repeating all the time. Is this going to be what we just did? Is this on the quiz tomorrow? No. Do we have a quiz tomorrow? Yeah. Yes. Numbers 2 and 3 are going to be on the quiz, solving algebraically, solving with the graphing calculator. And then BFF graphs, which we're going to do some more with after lunch, is going to be on your quiz. Cool? All right. Do I have all the homeworks? Okay. Max, I know you want to look at those. I'm going to change my screen. If you can pass all of them into the middle to Sophia, that would be great, my first person. That being said, I'm not actually going to give you homework tonight. We won't get through a notes section. So if anyone needs to see the notes or the homework 2 and 3 a little bit longer, here it is. Everybody else, you guys can go to lunch.
All right, I'll be here Friday. I'm pretty sure I'll be towards on Monday.